everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jessie, and today we are going to talk about some underrated fantasy books that you all provided. So a couple days ago, I asked you all on my community tab and on my Instagram, what is one fantasy book that you wish more people would read and talk about? And you all provided so many amazing answers. I definitely have enough answers to make multiple of these videos if you guys enjoy this. So let me know and I can do more of these. So I won't be able to get through all of your answers to that question in this particular video, but I do plan on also doing a YA version of this video. So right now I'm going to focus on adult fantasy, but we'll also do a YA fantasy because you all provided a lot of great ones in both genres. I'm wanting to do this because I've noticed on my channel that I've been talking a lot about more recent releases. I've been trying to catch up on the more popular books in the fantasy genre that I've just never read and want to be a part of those discussions on, but I also want to give some love to some underrated fantasy books that I just don't hear talked about a lot. So that's the goal of this video today, is to hopefully expose you to maybe a book that you'd like to pick up that you hadn't heard of before. Also a really great way for me to find these books as well. You guys are providing really great recommendations. So without further ado, let's just get into these answers. The first one that one of you all commented was anything by John Gwynne. And I would have to say I agree because I read Malice last month and absolutely adored it. I love these characters. I love the world so much. I definitely want to pick up John Gwynne's second trilogy after I finish Faithful and the Fallen. And I agree that this was pretty underrated for a while, but I have seen a lot more people picking this one up and talking about it on the Booktube community recently. So I think it's starting to get the recognition it deserves, but I know that it definitely deserves even more widespread recognition and love because it's so darn good. I know that Leslie over at the Nerdy Narrative also loves this series. I'll link her channel down below because she talks about this series a lot and just loves it. So she's got me so excited to read the rest of the books. If you don't know anything about Malice, it definitely plays on a lot of the fantasy tropes that we love and adore. Well, some of us, like the Chosen One and a prophecy and animal companions and giants and a looming war. It's all there. It's so darn good. I love the characters so much. So definitely excited to continue on with this. So I would agree that this is underrated, but it's starting to get out there in the world, I think, a little bit more. The next one that one of you commented was The Warded Man, which is the first book in the Demon Cycle series by Peter V. Brett. So I'm looking up the summary for this book now, and it sounds really intriguing. It says that it's about this world where these demons are beginning to take over and kind of push out the human race. So these three surviving humans have to fight back and team up, is what I'm getting from this summary. It sounds really cool, and I've heard a couple people want to read this, but I just haven't heard a whole lot about it. So I definitely agree. If this one is amazing, it's underrated in this community because I just haven't seen a whole lot about it. So let me know if you've read this and you loved it because I definitely want to give it a try. It looks like it's in total 5 books and was published a little over 10 years ago. So I definitely want to get to some of these backlist books. This one sounds like a really good option. And if you also really like demons in your fantasy world, maybe you will also want to pick this one up. The next one that one of you commented was the King Raven trilogy by Stephen R. Lawhead. This one starts off with the book Hood, and this sounds like it is a Robin Hood retelling, which I'm in for. I love that, first of all. But it also says that it's steeped in Celtic mythology and political intrigue of medieval Britain, which, like, political intrigue, that's one of my keywords. Check. I loved the version of Robin Hood that Disney did when I was a little kid. I used to love that movie where they were all like foxes. Maybe one of you knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, I've always been fascinated with the Robin Hood legend, and I love the idea of having this older adult retelling of it. So definitely want to check this one out. And if you've read it before, let me know what you thought. The next one that one of you commented was The Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham. This starts with A Shadow in Summer. I know that Alan over at the Library of Allenxandria, channel will be linked down below, he loves this series, so I definitely have been wanting to pick it up based off of his recommendation, and then I saw a couple of you comment this one as well. So you're just kind of reinforcing this desire for me to pick up this book. It sounds very, very political in nature. It says that it has a subgenre of steampunk, so I don't know how accurate that is, but I've also been wanting to get more into the steampunk fantasy genre. It definitely sounds like it's about this kind of expansionist empire that's trying to come in and take over this new land, and it's like this one guy is like prophesies to stop it all or something like that. That might be totally wrong, but I love these kinds of like political fantasies, so I'm definitely interested in starting this one. And if you haven't seen Alan rave about this book, I'll link his review of this down below because he makes it sound so good. So thank you all for that recommendation. The next one that someone commented was The Gutter Prayer by Gareth Ryder Hanrahan. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but this is the first book in the Black Iron Legacy series. It doesn't look like this series is complete yet. It actually looks like this Gutter Prayer was published last year, so a newer book that I just haven't heard anything about. So let's see what it's about. It says that it follows these 3 young thieves who are pulled into a centuries-old magical war between ancient beings, mages, and humanity. Okay, I'm already very, very interested. It says that the 3 thieves are an orphan, a ghoul, and a cursed man. A ghoul thief? Wait, this sounds so cool. What is this book? How have I not heard of this? It says it's dark fantasy. It's got a subgenre of steampunk as well. This sounds really, really good. I definitely love the thief trope in these fantasy books where thieves have to team up and do something good, even though they're not inherently good themselves. I love that kind of stuff. So this sounds awesome. It also sounds like there's this like underworld aspect and these ghouls. So I'm all in. This sounds really good. So thank you to whoever recommended this one because I'm in. This is definitely one I want to add to my list. The next book I have that someone commented was The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. This is the first book in the Chorus of Dragons trilogy, and I've actually heard a couple things about this one because it's newer. I think it was published last year, and it says that it's about a bastard orphan who grew up on storybook tales of a long-lost prince and grand quests, but he's claimed against his will as the long-lost son of a treasonous prince, and he finds that being a long-lost prince isn't what the storybooks promised. I love that idea. I love when people are taken to royalty and have their like dreams shattered about what royalty really means. I love that kind of stuff. It says that he is far from living the dream. He finds himself practically a prisoner at the mercy of his new family's power plays and ambitions. Oh, it sounds like it's got that political intrigue that I love. And he also discovers that the storybooks have lied about a lot of other things too. Dragons, demons, gods, prophecies, true love, and how the hero always wins. Wait, this sounds really good. I definitely have heard a couple people talk about it, but not very much. So after reading that summary, I am definitely all in for this one as well. It sounds amazing, and it looks like the 3rd one just got announced, A Memory of Souls, and it's being published this year. So hopefully if I do decide to pick this up, I have a complete series that I can just binge if I love it. The next one that someone recommended was The Pawn of Prophecy by David Eddings. This is the first book in the, I'm going to butcher this series name, I'm going to sound so silly. It says it's the Belgariad? Oh gosh, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. You're probably like cringing in your seat. It says that this one is like a more classic fantasy. It says it's a magnificent epic set against a history of 7,000 years of struggles of gods and kings and men, of strange lands and events, of fate and a prophecy that must be fulfilled. This sounds like everything I love in fantasy. It sounds like every trope that we love in fantasies is just packed into this one. Struggles of gods and kings and men, I love that. Fates and prophecies, love that stuff so much. This one definitely sounds like it was more of a classic fantasy released in the 80s, and it sounds like it is 5 books total, so I am really interested in reading more of these classic fantasies that were like just jam-packed with just all the fun tropes that we love. So I'm definitely interested in this one. If you've read it, let me know what you thought of it because I would really like to pick this one up soon. The next one I have is The Forgetting Moon by Brian Lee Durfee. This is the first book in the 5 Warrior Angels series. Looks like it's just 2 books right now. I don't know if there's other books planned in this series, but it says that it's a massive army on the brink of conquest looms large in a world where prophecies are lies, magic is believed in but never seen, and hope is where you least expect to find it. Man, this sounds so good. I love fantasy. Like, this just sounds like your like classic awesome fantasy book. It makes me so excited, like being a fantasy fan. It's about the 5 Isles where war has come, and there's this angel prince character that you're following, but there's also like the eldest son of a fallen king who now reigns in ever increasing paranoid isolationism, and his 2 sisters who seek their own paths. So it sounds like you're following just this big cast of characters in different kingdoms and such. Love these kinds of things. It reminds me of Malice, where we have a big cast of characters in different kingdoms. Oh man, this sounds really, really good and very epic. And it definitely sounds like it's underrated. If it's as great as it sounds, it has less than 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. But now I really want to pick it up because it just sounds like one of those hidden gems. So thank you to whoever recommended this one, because it sounds awesome. And if you have read it, let me know what you thought. The next one I've heard of a little bit on Booktube, and it's called Rosewater by Katy Thompson. This is more, I believe, of a science fiction novel, but someone did comment that this was more underrated. I know that I've seen Ben Reed's books talk about it, so I'll link his channel down below, and he really enjoys it. And then I've also seen Katy from Brightness Katy Reads. She's also, I think, read this series and really enjoyed it. So I definitely have been wanting to pick this one up. It sounds like this is the first book in the Wormwood trilogy, and it's set in Nigeria. And Rosewater is a town on the edge. A community has now formed around the edges of a mysterious alien biodome, and its residents comprise the hopeful, the hungry, and the helpless, and people are eager for a glimpse inside the dome or a taste of its rumored healing powers. It says it follows a government agent with a criminal past, and he has seen inside the biodome and doesn't care to again. I love science fiction. This sounds really, really cool as well. Oh my goodness. And it sounds like the series is complete at this point. So again, definitely one I want to pick up next year and just binge. It sounds like this is aliens and set in Nigeria. It just sounds so cool. I'm so excited about this one. So if you've read it, let me know your thoughts. The next one commented was Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. So this one I've also heard a little bit about because I know Tori from Tori Morrow, her channel, she's talked about this book and loves it. So I've definitely wanted to pick it up on her recommendation. This is the first book in the 6th World series. I don't believe the series is completed quite yet, but it says that it's more of an urban dystopian fantasy. It says, while most of the world has drowned beneath the sudden rising waters of a climate apocalypse, there is someone who has been reborn. The gods and heroes of a legend walk the land, but so do the monsters. Ooh, I love that. It says there's Maggie, who is a monster hunter and a supernaturally gifted killer. And when a small town needs help finding a missing girl, Maggie is their last and best hope. Oh! Okay, I'm already sold and I don't even need to read anymore. This sounds awesome. I, again, have been wanting to read this one anyway because I know Tori loves it, and this just sounds so good. And I know Rebecca Roanhorse, she has a new series that's just coming out this year, I think starting with The Black Sun, and I definitely have wanted to read her previous books as well. The next one is Redemption in Indigo by Karen Lord. I believe this is a standalone fantasy novel, and I know that Angela from Literature Science Alliance, she really, really enjoyed this one, so I've definitely also been wanting to pick this one up on her recommendation. Her channel is linked down below. I am really, really interested after reading this summary. So it says, Palma's husband is a fool and a glutton, bad enough that he followed her to her parents' home, and now he's disgraced himself by murdering livestock and stealing corn, but when Palma leaves him for good, she attracts the attention of the Undying Ones, who present her with a gift, the Chaos Stick, which allows her to manipulate the subtle forces of the world. I'm in. That sounds awesome. I love that idea. It just sounds like this is going to be something so unique, something I've never read before. Sounds great. So thank you, Angela, for the awesome recommendation. And if anyone else has read any Karen Lord, let me know what you thought. Okay, a couple more because I don't want this video to be forever long. So if your recommendation didn't make it into this video, I'll definitely do more of these if you guys enjoy them. So the next one I have is called We Ride the Storm by Devin Madsen. This sounds like it is the first book in a series called The Reborn Empire. And it sounds like this one's newer, so I think it was just released this year. It says, in the midst of a burgeoning war, a warrior, an assassin, and a princess chase their own ambitions no matter the cost. War built the Kissian Empire. War will tear it down. Yes! Big epic fantasy war books. All in. This sounds great. Princess, assassin, warrior. 3 different perspectives, it sounds like. Give it to me. I don't really need to know anything else. That sounds awesome. And again, this one was just published this year, and it sounds like the next one, the second book in the series, is coming out next year. So definitely, if you're looking for a more recent release that's underrated, sounds like this is a really good option. The last one I have is, I feel like, one of those classic fantasies once again, and it's called Legend by David Gemmell, the first book in the Drenai saga. So this was also published more in the 80s, and it sounds like it is 11 books in total, according to Goodreads, so let me know if that's incorrect. But it sounds like a huge epic fantasy series and just filled to the brim with all the things we love in fantasy. It says, he is Druss the Legend. His skill in battle has earned him a fearsome reputation throughout the world, and the stories of his life are told everywhere. But the grizzled veteran has spurned a life of fame and fortune and has retreated to the solitude of his mountain lair to await his old enemy, death. So dramatic. I love it. Meanwhile, barbarian hordes of the Nadir are on the march, conquering all before them, all that stands before them, and victory is the legendary 6-walled fortress of the Drenai Empire. If the fortress falls, so do the Drenai. I love this. I love this so much. This just sounds like everything I need. Druss reluctantly agrees to come out of retirement, but can even Druss live up to his own legends? Sounds awesome. Like old, retired legend coming out of retirement for one last hurrah. Man, I am so into it. This sounds great. It sounds like it's just swords and sorcery and epic fantasy. This sounds like an awesome option. So if you've read it, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know in the comments down below. But those are the only ones I'm going to go through during this video. But again, I would love to do more of these because I love finding these underrated fantasy books that I haven't heard of a lot of these. So thanks to you guys, you put these on my radar. And what you are unknowingly helping me with is I am creating a must-read list for next year. So every year I kind of do a must-read list. So this year I did 20 books I had to read in 2020. Next year it'll be 21 books I have to read in 2021. So my priority for next year, now that I've caught up on a lot of the newer releases and the more popular books this year, I want to prioritize more of these unpopular and backlist books next year. So a lot of these books that you guys are recommending to me are going to go on that list. So help me prioritize. If you saw a book that I talked about in this video that you absolutely love, that you would love to see me read, comment it down below. Help me try to prioritize all of these great recommendations because there are so many of them that you guys left and I love it. And again, all of the channels that I mentioned throughout this video will be linked down below. A lot of them are talking about these underrated books that are hidden gems, and so if you're looking for more underrated fantasy books, all of those channels are great ones to follow. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday, and until next time,